Hey, here we are back with that fake Xena music. This is Let's Write an Episode. I am Tommy Oler. Last week you heard our performance of a brand new parody episode of Xena Warrior Princess. This week you get to hear us write it. We answer all the questions. Where did you come up with chopping the boy in half? That Hades doesn't seem like him. What's the deal? And more. This is what we recorded a few weeks before the performance, and I hope you enjoy the process. It was a bit of a tough one. Joining me this month is comedian Caleb Holland of the Carpenter Rants podcast and writer, short film director, comedian Judaea Driscoll. All right, guys, here you go.
The barrel for those,
What would
those
they ever
Ron
want?
Howard,
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, Da Vinci movies.
Two pieces of the puzzle. Okay, let's start.
Let's do it.
Hello, we're going to write an episode of Xena Warrior Princess.
Yeah!
Yay!
Woo!
So, how much did you guys watch?
Not much. I watched the first episode, and then I looked up a list of the best episodes.
Yeah.
Which I think that's subjective, and so I watched 3 or 4 of those. I've seen maybe 5.
Yeah, and you watched a
various
lot.
seasons.
I watched the full first season and the first couple of episodes of the second season.
I watched a lot of the first season, and then had an idea of what I wanted to do, and then I just started skipping around.
Yeah.
Now, this is the idea I had. So, I don't know if you guys saw any of the episodes that had Ares or Aphrodite in them, but they're like,
Not that I can remember.
okay, they're like two gods that always appear in the show. Like, Ares is there from the get-go. Aphrodite starts showing up like later half of the second season.
Okay.
And they always, because they're two gods, and they're always like kind of fighting and doing stuff. Like either they're helping Xena or they're getting in her way and messing with her. And Ares is always wanting Xena to choose his side. And I thought, what if we took the book of Job from the Bible?
Okay.
And you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so the book of Job
Oh man.
is basically God and the devil are like, the devil's like, I bet I can make Job like forsake you, and God's like, go ahead and try, and then the devil just ruined Job's life, and then
For a bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then Job is like, I thank you, God, and then he's like, see, God's like, all right, see, look, he's there with me. But basically, the devil he kills his family, burns his house down, makes him poor, like,
Kills all of his crops, all of his cattle. He gets covered in boils.
yeah,
Jesus.
makes him ugly.
That he picks at with a broken pot.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's horrendous. And so I thought, what if we just took the beginning of that idea,
Okay.
and my idea is Aphrodite and Ares make a bet on, I bet I can get Xena to choose me over you, and they want to put her, like they each have one test to give her to where she has to choose. That's the idea, and I think the idea is that she passes both tests and chooses neither of them.
Right, yeah.
Of course.
Obviously,
You have to.
Yeah.
Obviously, but this is like the middle part. She passes both tests, but then Ares and Aphrodite kidnap Gabrielle or whoever, maybe the Joxer guy,
Oh, I love Joe. Yeah.
maybe both of them, and they kidnap her and him and go like, now you have to choose or we're gonna kill them, and that's like the end game.
Yeah.
I think that's my idea.
That's great.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
It feels like an episode of Xena. The whole time I was like, I don't know. I was really excited, and I started watching it, and I was like, oh my God, this is.
It's not the most engaging show on the planet. It has
But
really good elements.
Well, and it's very entertaining. Like,
Yeah.
I'll give it that. It's really, like, I didn't realize that it was as silly as it is. I thought it was. My memory of it, having never really watched it, was that it was a little more sincere.
Yeah.
I think, and it's actually they're actually like having fun. I think they're like, this is.
Yeah.
We all know what this.
Yeah.
I mean, based on like the 5 episodes I watched, that feels like an episode.
Yeah.
And
It can be really serious, and then it can also be really, really silly.
yeah.
Like I'm always surprised at how far they'll go on the silliness scale, and it turns out there's no limit. Like just do whatever. I mean, even in the fight scenes, it's bananas, and I'm just like, oh, they're just going all at it right now.
Yeah, it's like a fight, and then like it seems like it's intense, but then like she'll bounce that thing. I don't even know what it's called, but
the little circle thing.
Her weapon. She'll bounce it, and it'll be like, oh, I watched one where she threw like a frying pan, and it bounced off like 10 people, and when it landed, it was like all like morphed and misshapen, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah. I saw one where Gabrielle was trying to save Joxer from getting beheaded by trying to ring a bell. And he's under Aphrodite's spell. Okay. And if you ring a bell, he turns into a handsome, awesome fighter. But if you ring the bell again, he turns into stupid, simple Joxer again. Yes. And so Gabrielle is trying to get him to turn back into the hero. So she has a rock, and she looks to one area to where a bell is, but then something moves in the way. Then she turns and looks in another area, then a child's head moves in the way. And she's like, dang it. And she throws a rock. Now, with the view of her throwing the rock, she doesn't throw it hard. She goes like, and then the rock bounces and makes ricochet noises off like 8 objects. So ping, pow, poo, ping, pow. And then it hits a bell somewhere, and then Joxer is like, ooh, and then he comes back and fights. And like it's like she doesn't throw it hard, but it literally, it's like someone fired a gunshot with unlimited force behind it. So yes.
Who's God and who's the devil?
I don't think it matters who's who in that respect. I think just Aphrodite. Yeah, because it's like it's love and war. And their idea can be all's fair in love and war, and so they can do whatever they want. You know what? Yes, that's the name. That's the name of the episode.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, it might be the name of an episode, but there's the ones I saw were just like a day in the life and history of sin, and it's just these real
the one
simple.
Where she has that kid is called like the orphan of a warrior or something, or like the orphan boy.
All's fair in love and war.
Sometimes they'll take like a saying like that and then they'll change it just slightly. So if it was like a proper Xena episode, maybe they would go all's fair in love and wimp or something like that. Like they would change it weirdly, and you'd be like, what is okay? Yeah, I guess I'm watching it.
I'm already here, Xena.
So we start off, I believe, because I've seen episodes where they've done this before. They just start off with the two gods talking. It doesn't matter where Xena is right now. Okay. Because we can just have Aphrodite and Ares just talking, and they're having some piddling, stupid argument. And then Ares, maybe we can see Ares watching Xena in some way, maybe some magical thing. Sure. And Aphrodite notices it and gets on it, like tries to bother him about it, because if you saw any of the episodes of Aphrodite, she speaks like a modern day teenage, like a modern day 90s teenage girl. She's going like, whatever. She's like that. She says stuff like that.
Fantastic.
Like, get off my case. That's the way she speaks. And it's literally like a late 30s-year-old woman playing her who's speaking like that. Dressed very scantily clad. So whenever I had the idea, I was like, I'm going to watch more episodes of Aphrodite. Yeah. But yeah, I think maybe he can see her. She makes fun of him for it. Maybe he gets angry and his ego is like, I bet I could make Xena choose me before she chooses you. And that's where it starts. They make a bet, like, all right, we'll each give Xena one trial. And if in that test she at some point should choose between you or me.
And what are the terms? Like what happens to
I
think they each just want Xena to join them.
Yeah, right? Yeah, they want like Ares it's kind of weird. Ares like wants her as like a quasi lover / person to fight for.
Is that the Haitian one? The hot that we see in the first episode?
I don't think he's Haitian. He's just a white.
Oh no, okay.
He's just a white dude.
Because I definitely watched the first episode. I don't know that I saw any with Aphrodite or Ares. I was looking for episodes because I figured we were going to be like I was like, I need to know the most about Xena and Gabrielle.
Yeah.
And so, but I did see a bunch of Joxer too. So I'm trying to look and see.
It's such an engaging show. The only two characters I knew by name were Xena and Gabriella.
Growing up, I only ever saw the beginning or the ending of shows. And those are the most, like, serious parts.
Oh, yeah.
So I had an idea of what the show was. I had an idea of what the show was. And then whenever I started watching it for this, I was really surprised because
same.
Because I would only ever see it like whenever I would tune into something a little early and then it was ending and I'd see like the last 5 minutes as I'm waiting for Full House or whatever to come on.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the beginning because I'm too lazy to go get the remote. Like the remote's far away and I'm laying in bed and I don't want to get up because I'm a kid. Or an adult, it doesn't matter.
I was about to say, you're describing the way I watch television right now.
Yeah. Or an adult. But yeah. So I don't know what they could make them do though. I haven't thought of that.
Obviously, they have to trick her, right? Like she's not gonna agree to.
Yeah. They have to create some event for her to do something. And since they're gods, they can do whatever.
So they could. All right. Well, what we see typically with Xena, especially in the beginning of an episode, is like she's come across some village or some people who are in need of warrior princess type help.
Right.
Yeah.
So perhaps they create a village, or they create problems within a village. I kind of like the idea that they would make one that's not actually there.
Yeah.
So that you kind of get that nice. You could have a nice moment later where it vanishes and she's just standing in the woods or like.
Okay. Okay.
Is one possibility.
What if they like created this guy, right? And it's like you can either love him, or you can like battle him. Like you have to choose one or the other, and then whichever one she chooses, and so like love is trying to convince her like just be with him, settle down, all this stuff, or you can like fight him and you can continue to be.
Are they being outright about who they are? Because I thought maybe a
bit more creative.
No, they're very much outright about who they are. They will come down and do that. But if they're doing this, then maybe it might be a little like sneaky because they are sneaky, but they can reveal themselves later. So if they created a man, that might be really easy. Sure. And I don't know how long it could go, but if they each gave her a different test, like if Aphrodite was like, here's my test, okay, and now here's Ares' test. So like, for example, if Aphrodite did that thing, she creates a village or whatever, then for some reason the villagers would be like, there's a monster, and the only way they can do this is if we all bow down and worship Aphrodite right now. We have to choose. And then this could seem fishy to Xena, warrior princess, who's not afraid of anything. And maybe it's just the other side. Like maybe there's like a rumbling on the other side of a canyon or something like that. And Xena goes to check it out to discover that maybe it's not simple. Like it's not just bow down. Maybe she actually discovers Aphrodite like, dang it, you didn't fall for it or something like that. I don't think it should be that easy. Like I
don't think it should be that.
But it could be something like that.
I think, and again, this is not really solving our problem as of yet, but I think that Xena probably figure it out after the second trial.
Okay.
Like once she's completed whatever the first one is, and then she does the second one, then she's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And she's like, so, because she seems to usually be one up on whoever she's dealing with.
Yeah.
There's not much that gets past her. So Xena or Aphrodite and Ares make this bet. Yes.
We cut to Xena, Gabrielle,
walking through the woods.
So you guys want Joxer in this? Does it matter?
I like Joxer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's have Joxer.
Xena, Gabrielle, and Joxer are walking through the woods, and they're talking about whatever. Joxer's being like, "I'm a hero," and they're like, "No, you're not. You're stupid."
Telling some story of heroics that's obviously.
Yeah. That was he can be telling some stupid story, and then Gabrielle can be like, "That was you only did that because Xena was there to blah blah blah," and then, yay, funny, and then they come across something crazy. The first trial, maybe Aphrodite's trial.
Okay.
Which can be I don't know.
Yeah, this is where it's going to take some thought. All right.
So she is the god of love.
What does a God's trial look like?
It can literally, it can be anything.
Okay. So whatever it is, let's work backwards. So whatever it is, like Aphrodite will want her to solve it using love.
Right.
Rather than war.
Right.
So, all right. It just, for instance, if Aphrodite's created a village with some sort of, there's got to be some sort of conflict happening here. So that Xena would at first get involved with.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to catch her attention.
So I have an idea of like, what would be so outrageous that you would not choose love? What could be happening that if someone was to bring someone up to you, like say like someone brought a person up to you, because all level-headed people, I'm sure, would be like, do you want to punch this guy or do you want to hug this guy? And we're like, I'll hug him, But if someone was brought up to you and they were like, this guy did this, what would it have to be to make you, I don't even want to touch this, I don't even want to see this person? Like, what would have to happen? Because the gods would have to make it crazy. How about we do this? Okay. What if Ares makes Aphrodite's trial? And Aphrodite makes
makes
Ares.
I like that a whole lot. Yeah.
So that way.
Now it's more of a contest.
Yeah, now it's more of a contest.
Yeah.
So that way, like, because if they were making it for themselves, then they would obviously make it a little bit easier.
They make it super easy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're in Aphrodite's trial, created by Ares.
Created by Ares,
the god of war.
Okay, so maybe we come across like a ravaged village.
Yeah.
There's a man, some sort of warlord type character who he's killed somebody, maybe some important person's like child or family or something like that.
Yeah.
And Xena, naturally, she might think it's none of my business, but if they kill this guy, it would bring some sort of detrimental like effect toward the village, right? So like it's not just as simple as killing him, and I don't know what that is yet, but it's not like, well, we can't just kill him because he killed the whoever's son. Yeah. Because of maybe who he is, and like so maybe I don't know. Xena has to go against her warrior instinct to be like convince these people that they have to forgive him. Yeah. Or else it could mean far more bloodshed than they've already experienced.
So the end result of the thing though is that she doesn't choose.
She doesn't
choose either of them. Right?
Oh, that's okay.
So she lets the guy get killed?
Because I don't know about that, but in the show, Xena is always very like Aphrodite isn't great. Ares is not great. They're both not great characters in the show. Yeah. Aphrodite is always using her powers of love to make things work in her favor. Mm-hmm. But she's a very needed thing in the world. Like Aphrodite can't die. People have to worship her or else she won't exist. So Xena will not do anything to make love not exist because people need love. But the person who personifies love, this being that personifies love, very much cares about being loved. She's very, very vain. So Xena does not want to work for either of them.
Yes. Okay.
So this is a little bit harder than I thought it would be.
This is tricky, but I think because I thought at first she was gonna like pass each trial.
That's also what I thought.
But I don't know how she would pass them without like coming down one way or the other.
Yeah, passing is hard because if she's gonna get through and adapt to the trials.
Yes.
And get what she wants, which is to not have to either be the pawn of love or war. Mm-hmm. That's why Ares and Aphrodite take her followers, her companions, and say, choose one of us. However, we just need to know how what trials she has to conquer. And they don't have to take forever.
No. Okay, well,
if you were the god of war and you wanted to and you wanted to make a thing, like you wanted to make a trial, and it had to be, all right, Xena needs to choose war on this instead of love, but somehow Xena's going to have to get out of both.
Well, then maybe it's just one trial.
Okay.
And she has to, and the outcome has to be decided, like one way or the other.
One way or the other.
Yeah,
okay.
because otherwise I think it gets problematic if she passes both of them, and then, so maybe it's just one big one.
Okay, so who could we get as a middle ground? Maybe at the beginning we have a third party there.
Okay.
And they enact a third party who could somehow be, because there's always more than one. Like maybe there's a whole bunch of gods that they end up working with or something.
Who features on the show regularly?
Most of the time it's just Ares or Aphrodite. Cupid's in there sometimes. Is there Death? What if we just make Death a character?
Is Death a god?
What? Hades.
Yeah.
What if we do Hades?
Oh, Hades is in 5 episodes.
Okay, how about we make Hades
these are
create
Greek gods. We have the look. By the way, this is not canon. We have the full. We have the full toy box here. So okay.
So Aphrodite, Ares arguing. Hades comes in and is like, I'll make a trial, see which one she
because
picks.
He's got nothing else going on.
Yeah, he's got
no. He wants to stir, and these are his brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
and he wants to stir up some shit anyway.
Who cares?
Okay, yeah.
Who cares? And then we cut to the gang traveling.
Yes.
They're talking. Boom, they come across what? Is there a canyon that's weird and now they have to go through it? Is there a village? Is there a person laying on the ground? Like, is there a wagon that's, got a wheel missing and there's people standing about it that gets them on this adventure? Like, what gets them into this? Because the end result is she neither chooses love or war.
Yeah.
She finds a middle ground and solves it. Is there anything else? Like, because I'm pulling from the Job tale in the Bible. Is there another tale in the Bible in which there's two choices and then there's one that's not, like there's one that's not taken that we could just take from?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Well, hang on. I've extensively studied the Bible. You have Solomon with the two moms. They were like, that's my baby, that's my baby. Yeah. And then his idea was like, well, then we'll just cut it in half.
We'll just cut the baby in half.
And then the real mom was like, she can have the baby.
She can have the baby.
Yeah, and that's how he figured out.
Yeah.
There's that. So
what if we...
So Xena... Go ahead and do what you're saying.
What if we actually did that?
Okay.
And
Xena... it was an actual baby?
And Xena literally chops the baby. But then what happens is it fades away because this is the moment she found out she's being put through a test.
Yep.
She's like, I knew this was a test.
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
Well, then it doesn't have to be... then it doesn't have to be a baby.
Yeah.
Could be a child. I think that, okay, so I think we're on to it, though. I think, like, they get to a village, whatever, and there's a problem with this child. It's just like, this child's the son of a warlord, and he's got, he's going to grow up to inherit this army and, like, all this stuff, and he's going to be, and they're just, like, the idea is maybe that, like, they kidnap him, but then, like, his mother is just like, no, she wants him back or whatever. And then that could lead us to the point where Xena's like, well, I'll just kill him then.
Okay. So I like that. So this is the idea. Xena gets to this village. Mm-hmm. There's trouble afoot. And she finds out that there is a son that has been kidnapped. We don't know he's a warlord.
Yeah.
He's like, I need my son. I want to get my son back. He was stolen from me by this woman. And we believe this woman is like evil and mean. Xena goes out and with her gang of people and the woman's family, she battles the woman's family. She gets to the boy and she's like, you've stolen this boy. And she's like, no, that man is a warlord.
Yeah.
I've taken my son away, took him away from him because I don't want him to be the heir to some warlord's throne. I want him to come with me. I want to show him a life full of love and happiness. And then she's like, all right, come with me. And they all meet together. And then there's like a third party. Let's say it's Hades, who is embodying someone else in disguise.
Yeah, of course.
So the woman can be Aphrodite, and she can be like, to tip off that it's Aphrodite, she can have like, she's obviously like maybe a rich woman who has a lot of like, she has a lot of her I'm saying her family, but they can be like her people that fight for her.
Yeah.
And she wants to take him off and give him like a noble upbringing so he can be someone that doesn't fight for a living and earns like a crown of swords and stuff.
Yeah.
And we take him there, and
so and maybe this is what you already meant, and I'm just catching on to it. But so this could be the idea that they'd kidnapped a child. This could just each be their child.
Yes.
Like, and she's like, I don't want him to be like his father. I want him to grow up love. And he wants him to grow up war.
She literally did something wrong in kidnapping a child. She did do that. Yes. She took the kid.
But it is his father.
It is his father.
That makes more sense.
And so they come together. Hades is the guy. He's the guy in charge.
Like the mediator.
Yeah, he's the mediator. And so we just take that bit from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Because they always, I mean, Xena did take some stuff too. And then he says, all right, I can give the boy to him, or I can give the boy to her.
And they both trust Xena because of her like upstanding reputation.
Yeah.
And so they're really, which seems odd, which is another way she figures it out. But like, it's just like they can't be trusted to decide like we trust you, Xena.
Yeah.
Whatever you think we should do.
Yeah.
And then I like that's where Xena has figured it out.
And Xena has figured it out.
Yes.
She doesn't reveal that yet.
Mm-mm.
We can see her like looking, we can maybe like have like an internal thing with her where she's kind of like looking at her sword or something like that, and maybe something else, and then she just does a little spin move and chops him right in half.
Yes.
Chops the kid down.
Yes, I love it.
And then we see his body flop on the ground, and then it fades away, and then Ares and Aphrodite and Hades all appear back in their normal bodies. And they're like, "Oh my, why? Why would you?" And she's like, "I knew it all along."
Yeah, I like the idea that Hades would be very tickled by this this outcome, because he's got no dog in this. At all.
You know what would be great is if as soon as she chopped him, Hades, like as his character, is like, "Oh, this is great!" Like he just starts laughing.
Yes, he's
having a great time.
He's very entertained, and then you could have Ares could be like, "No," and then like Aphrodite could like cry out.
Yeah.
And this is our big like shocking like, what did Xena just do?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, she figured it out.
Yeah.
Like, even Joxer and Gabrielle could be like, holy shit, like what?
Yeah.
Like they can't believe that Xena, just because they're not smart enough to figure this thing out.
Right.
So I have an idea too of the way they can get, because the warlord, he can be like a warlord or whatever, and she not know it fully yet. But I feel like maybe Joxer gets himself into some trouble, and they have Joxer, and then that's how Xena gets like recruited into doing this mission.
Yeah,
it's like you want your buddy back? Go get my son back.
Yeah, I when you were like, how does Xena get into the trial in the first place? I was like, it's got to be Joxer.
Yeah.
Joxer hears some shit.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm a warrior. And so he like just like off in the battle, and then he gets himself captured as inept as he is.
Yeah.
And then,
Joxer can be out of it for that little bit. And then that's whenever, because they still have Joxer. And this is after she figures out the trial. That's whenever they take Gabrielle, and then let's say they just kind of like disappear to some other place.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Xena living in her comfortable world.
Yes.
She comes into like an unfamiliar thing where it's the trial, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know what she wants.
She just wants to help you.
She does. She wants
Xena's
to help people. She wants to help people.
Xena's whole thing is like making up for when she was evil for like 3 episodes in Hercules. So, based on the Wikipedia entry that I read, because I did not watch Hercules. So Xena's she just wants to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She herself landing in this unfamiliar territory, as she does in every episode, is solving the trial. And this is her solving the trial. She gets the kid back to the thing, and she's helped both parties out. Now she's there, and she gets pulled in again to choose. She chops the boy down.
Yes.
To which she pays for it by them taking Gabrielle and Joxer. They disappear. They can like teleport. And now she has to figure out like she's gotta pay for it and rescue them.
Yeah.
And they disappear somewhere. I don't know where.
I like the idea of like you cheated. You didn't play our game right. Mm-hmm. You will choose one of us.
Yeah, you will choose.
Yeah, and so now how does she get Joxer and Gabrielle back?
Yeah, the thing that we have to figure out now is like we don't have to have them teleport. But I feel like it would add to some sort of thing, like maybe because I like the idea that you had of everything disappearing. Like so they teleport, and now she's just like
she's alone.
She's like in the woods now. Yeah. Like it's like what? This was all. The whole thing was fake. Yeah. The setting was fake. Yeah, everything was fake.
I like that.
And so now she has to work her way back to wherever. We could just like that could just be like whatever. I don't know where she could go. Usually they're in their little, like Aphrodite spends a lot of time in her shrine. Mm-hmm. She's there. Maybe she just has to go to the nearest Aphrodite shrine to get them.
Would Ares be there also? I guess they wherever they would go together because they want. Do you think that Hades could still be involved at this point because he was kind of like he's not really interested in Ares or
there is a portal. There's a portal to hell that they use in one episode. Maybe
I'm just curious if he would then in turn help Xena because he really doesn't care about who wins this one way or the other. Like he's just tickled to be a part of the game.
Okay.
That's just a possibility. I'm just trying to figure out at this point what does Xena do to get her friends back, her compatriots, because
she has done many times out-battled Ares. She has like literally fought him and then beat him. So I think they can fight.
Okay.
However, that'd be hard to like, whenever we do the live thing, that would be hard to.
Yeah, that would be tough. But it doesn't have to be. Well, okay, yeah, you're right. That would be. So I like the idea that she outwits them.
Yeah.
I like that. I always like that more anyway. Maybe like Joxer accidentally is heroic somehow.
That could be good too. He always is kind of like accidentally heroic a lot.
Yeah.
How many episodes did you see with Joxer? Did you get to him yet?
I saw. He's the one with the weird hat.
Yeah.
I
like the samurai hat.
I always had like another tab open, and like we're doing 2 tabs. So I've seen that guy like a couple times. I didn't even know what his name was.
The first one he's in, I think, is that Callisto episode, which is great. That was a good one, and he's fantastic.
I like that he's made such an impression on you.
Oh, well, I'm a big Sam Raimi fan. I'm also a big Ted Raimi fan. Ted Raimi plays Joxer. That's his brother. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, and so I was just tickled pink to see him.
There was some for real nepotism going on.
Yeah, Sam Raimi.
But it doesn't matter.
Sam Raimi puts his brother in everything.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like
Spider-Man. He's there in all 3 movies.
Did you
Oh my god.
Yeah. How dare you, sir? Yeah. So I don't know. I like Joxer quite a bit. I like Gabrielle too. So. And I do think fighting in the audio format is a little more difficult. Like there can be swords, like thrown.
Yeah.
It's easy to be like, like stuff like that. So
I do. Whenever we did the Gossip Girl episode, I just had a bunch of like groans and like I put that in there in the script, and I just loved hearing freaking Casey and everyone on there. Like, all right, and they've been stabbed, and they go like, they would just do that. It made me laugh so much hearing them like, oh God, and making little stupid noises in there.
I'm into that. So I don't mind them fighting. I like that quite a bit.
So they disappear, and we don't have to say how she finds them because a lot of that stuff doesn't matter anyway in the show. Like Xena always seems to
in fact she could show up wherever they are and then be like how did you possibly find us, and she's just like,
you know what, she can say Hades told me, and then we're just there and they're like, what dude, and she's like, and then Hades can be like, I wanted to see how this will play out. Like, I'm kind of curious.
This is the best day he's had in a while.
This is great.
He's like, you guys don't ever include me.
Right.
Like, how many times have I been in your adventures? And then we just say how many times he's been. 5? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in here 5 times? 5 times you've seen me? So.
No, I like it. So, I like Hades being this sort of foil to the other gods. He's participated, but he's having more fun wrecking their plans than anything. So
Xena gets there. Hades tells her, and Aphrodite and Ares give their final thing, just straight up. What are you going to choose?
Yeah.
Love or war?
Yeah.
And your friends' lives are at stake.
Yeah, you choose one, the other one dies.
And
that's it.
And Xena has to do something to get her friends back and not be a pawn to either of them. Does she throw her weapons down and meditate? Like, I don't know what she would do. Does she dance? Does she start dancing?
Well, that's the thing. I think she has to choose, and if she doesn't, then like nothing can happen. So do they become so frustrated by this that they give up? Is it at this point they become so frustrated and out of sorts that Joxer's able to get some sort of like something over on them, like, and become a hero? Do Joxer and Gabrielle together escape their captors because they're so vexed by Xena not choosing?
Yeah.
Like, maybe they just sneak out, like, while they're so like caught up with Xena, and then they're like, "That's it, both your friends die," and they turn around, and they're gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah.
Or Xena can make a big speech, and then they get away. Like, Xena can be like, "I choose love and war, because without love there can be no war, and without war there can be no love."
And like during the speech, they just like sneak off.
Very
she's.
This is an audio medium, but in my mind, it's very like overacted.
They get out, and then they're listening to this. Like, maybe it goes on a little too long, and then Ares just gets frustrated. Like, stop with this dribble. Like, I would choose one.
Yeah.
Or maybe he doesn't say choose one. He's like, I'm ending this, and then he throws a fireball or something in the direction of Gabriel and Joxer, and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
He just destroys 2 statues of Athena that they've kind of placed there, or Aphrodite that they've placed there. And she's like, my statues. I've seen a couple episodes where she's like, my stuff, and she cares about what's in her thing.
Oh yeah. So now they're kind of bickering with each other.
Yeah.
And then Xena takes off. Hades still just giggles.
Yeah.
Just giggles like a schoolboy. He's so happy.
So, and that's how she gets out in some stupid baby way, some cartoonish way that is very much like. That is very much the way Xena would do it.
Again, it's very, like, I was trying to overthink it. I was like, what if this was Lord of the Rings? But I forgot what we were doing. So,
So Xena makes a speech. Gabrielle and Joxer get out. Maybe there's got to be some sort of, like, we're going to have to set up how they get out, though. Like, maybe, because Gabrielle, I can see her figuring something out to escape, but I feel like if we plant something early that can give them the idea, then it won't seem as silly as it is. Even though it is silly, it can still be silly, but it won't seem as just like, oh, come on. Like, maybe Gabrielle has Xena's little circle disc or something like that.
Yeah, and I think it could have tied back in somehow to Joxer telling this heroic story that actually didn't happen.
Yeah.
And Gabrielle's like, that I was there, that didn't happen. And then, like, maybe that exact scenario becomes available to them, and she's just like, your story from earlier.
That's great. That's great. So the story he tells is like, and we're both tied up.
Yeah.
And I see because, like, what's stuff that's in, like, shrines? There's candles, and there can be, like, long sticks of candles or something like that.
Puts it on the candlestick and, like, burns the rope.
He burns the, and Gabrielle, he talks about how he burned the ropes with the fire of the candles, and the blaze did, like, I don't know, he still has burn marks, he says, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
And maybe Xena's like, that didn't happen. She cut your, like, while your hands were, you didn't burn it. Your hands got cut with Xena's little blade, like, as it flew by and ricocheted 400 times. And she's like, all right. And he's like, all right. I'll show you. Later in the episode, that exact thing. And Gabrielle is like, there's freaking fire behind me.
And then Joxer could be like, but that never really happened. And she's just like, no, we could do it now. Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah.
And that's whenever he's like, that'll work. You sure that's gonna work? And then so he burns the things with the candles, and he's like, he's burning himself, and there's like, shut up, as Xena's over there giving her speech, and then he comes by and he unties her, and they move, like, I guess they're like they can be like right next to each other, close, and then they just move like a couple of statues there of Aphrodite's, and then they slip out. Ares blows up the statues. They get into a fight. Ares and Aphrodite get into like a bickering fight about it, and then because they are like related.
Yes.
So it can be like a really infantile sibling fight. Like, you're always breaking my stuff, and it's like, well, you shouldn't cry about it all. You have plenty of things.
Yeah, like, you have enough.
Yeah. You have enough things, and during this little infantile baby fight, Xena slips out, meets up with them, and you can kind of hear them in the background, and the three just kind of stroll off into the night.
Yeah, that's great.
The end.
Yeah, love it.
I like it.
And she could have some, like, I don't know, she could have some, like, one of her one-liners, like, they're just like, how did you know, blah, 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 Xena can, like, explain it real easy. Like, she always kind of sums up what she did, but, like, it was no big deal.
Yeah. So whenever you slash that boy, I mean, what part could she explain, though? Because if she cuts the boy down, then we're gonna need an explanation right then.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause if we're not gonna see Xena cut a boy down, the Hades get happy, and then them disappear. We're gonna be like, what? Why did she kill a little boy?
Yeah. No, she has to explain that then. But I think the idea of, like, or it could be like, oh, you know what they could do? This is very fitting too. Yeah. I think they could be like, all right, but, like, for real, which one of us would you have chosen to save? Mm-hmm. And then she could be very aloof about it.
She could be like, I'm not going to be no God's puppet.
Yeah.
She can say something like that.
Yeah, perfect.
And she walks off. They're together. Like, what I love, too, is that Xena's always on a horse, and Gabrielle, and they're just kind of like,
walking
along.
Yeah.
I always think that's so funny. And like, Gabrielle is just like, she's just like, just talking, just happy.
At some point, you think she could afford her own horse, or Xena would, like, get her one.
No.
That's her pal.
No. It's just Xena has a horse, and they didn't have enough money for Gabrielle to have a horse either.
So strange. They bathe together sometimes. It's weird that she wouldn't have a horse as well. There's no way to treat your friends.
You a horse, I gotta get Joxer a horse, the whole thing.
Yeah. Gotta be fair. Okay, so let's go over the whole thing in order. Beginning, Ares and Aphrodite. Ares is watching Xena.
Mm-hmm.
Aphrodite is like, ooh, look at you, you're obsessed. And they start arguing.
Yeah, give it up. She'll never choose you.
Yeah, she'll never choose you. She's more likely to choose me. And then they're like, no, she would never do that. Hades comes up, and he's like, what if I create a trial?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay.
Uninvited, because they don't want him there. But he's, he sees an opportunity to be involved.
Yeah. He wants to be around.
He's the little brother. It's like,
and then we see Xena, Joxer, Gabrielle talking about an adventure.
Joxer's telling his heroic story.
His version of the adventure that didn't happen.
Yes.
And Gabrielle corrects him. They come into a village. They stop. They go into an inn. Joxer does something. He hears something about let's say he hears something about a warlord that Xena doesn't hear. He goes to maybe solve this issue, only to get himself caught
you know what? He is crestfallen for them joking about how he didn't have that heroic moment that he claimed he did. So he overhears an issue, and he's like, I'll show them. Yeah. I'll solve this.
I'll show them.
Yeah.
And they're like, Joxer, where are you going? He's like, nowhere.
Yeah.
Or maybe he goes, you'll see.
Yeah.
And then he walks out, and they're just like, whatever.
Finally.
And then he goes in, gets himself in trouble, kind of like in this village, and this fake village.
Yeah.
And it's like the gods knew that Joxer would be the one to manipulate. So let's say he comes in, and maybe he hears like something that seems super obvious. It's like, this warlord is killing men all across, and he's here in town now.
Yeah, I like it.
And he's right over there. And Joxer's like, well, I should take this guy out. And he's like, and the bounty is 5,000 gold or whatever. And so he's like, all right, I'm going to get myself a horse.
Yes, exactly. I was literally thinking the same thing.
And then he goes in there, gets completely caught. Whenever they come out, maybe they come out of the bar, and they see Joxer being drug about, and they're like, what's going on?
There's a nice opportunity for a little fight, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little.
And they see that, and then maybe some guy comes up, and he's like, this man tried to kill me. And they're like, all right, well, let's hear what this is about. They have a little fight. It gets interrupted. The guy comes out. This man tried to kill me. They're like, all right, what can I do to get him back? He's stupid, but
yeah.
I'm like, all right, my son has been kidnapped. I want you to rescue him from this evil woman.
Yeah.
She has a band of thugs. Be careful. And so Xena's like, okay. Gabrielle goes with her, and they fight the woman's thugs. They track down the boy. The woman gives her side of the story, which reveals, this guy is bad. This guy's crazy.
Yeah, this guy's bad news.
Yeah, this guy's bad news. And then maybe it's not the warlord he kills, because we can save that for the reveal here in this moment. But what if it's just a wanted man is there, and it turns out he is working for the warlord.
Okay.
He tried to kill my man.
Yes.
And she goes on, Aphrodite in disguise tells what happens, like that he's an evil man. I don't want him to raise my son. I want to raise my son good. I want to raise him in a loving home. Blah, blah, blah.
Maybe it's like some sort of like priest or like, some sort of like loving, giving type.
Yeah.
She's got like an angle for him.
Yeah. And she's like, all right, but my buddy is taken, and I need you guys to work this out amongst yourselves so I can get my friend back.
Yeah.
And next thing we know, courtroom area, Hades is there in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
Then they come up, and it's like, all right, what's it gonna be? Xena, you make the choice.
It's like a paternity court issue almost, yeah.
And Xena, you make the choice. Who do you think this boy should go with? Xena chops the boy in half.
Yeah, love it.
What's funnier? Does Xena cut him in half horizontally or straight down?
I think straight down the middle, right in the face.
Right between.
I think that'd be the best.
I originally thought horizontally, but now I think vertically.
Yeah, I think vertically. She chops him vertically from
in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's so over the top.
Yes.
And I think he's a child, right?
Yeah,
he's like standing up.
Yeah.
He's standing up, and so
into the ground.
So by the time the blade reaches the top of his head, it's full force.
Yeah.
It's like, because she does not have to. She's got like 2 feet of extra swing, like whap, just chops him straight through.
I like the idea that she's like, well, there's only one thing that can be done with this boy.
Yeah, right.
This is what she does. She turns her back to the boy, and there's only one choice I can make.
Yeah.
And then she turns around real quick and chops the boy in half.
Yes.
In one swift move. The boy falls apart
and then
bloodlessly and disappears.
Yes.
Everyone changes back into their original forms, and then they're like, "How did you know?" And Xena says, "Only gods would make me choose something like why there's got to be some."
Yeah, there's Something has tipped her off.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't know what it is yet, but definitely. I mean, and it doesn't have to be anything. Like
it doesn't. She could just say
her,
she knows.
Yeah, she could just be like, your games are old, or I could smell the gods from blah blah blah. Just some.
That is funny. Yeah. That is funny. It sounds so much like her.
Yeah,
I could smell the gods from a mile away.
Yeah.
I knew it was you the whole time.
Yeah, I could smell. Yeah. And Hades is just.
Yeah, he's loving it.
He's a giggle fit right now. Yeah.
He's loving it. McDonald's.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. Okay, and she chops him in half. Once she explains, they grab Gabrielle, disappear. Xena's in a forest now, alone. Yeah. We cut to the gods in Aphrodite's shrine.
Yeah.
Arguing again.
Yeah.
How could they know?
Yeah.
How about they're yelling at Hades? Like, how could you make something that she could see through?
Yeah.
Like, this is supposed to be a choice between me and her. How could there be a third option? And he's like, I didn't know she was going to kill the child. I had no idea.
Who does that
Who
kind
does
of
that?
thing?
That's crazy, right? And then
but
Xena.
I'll tell you, I'm really starting to like her. Stuff like that.
And then Xena shows up.
Well, then they have Gabrielle and
they've got Gabrielle and Joxer tied up. Yeah. And they're kind of together, tied up. Xena shows up, and they're like, "How did you know where we were?" And then he's like, "Hades told me." Yeah. And he's like, he's like happy.
He's like, "This is too good."
This
like,
is too good. How could I not tell her? Like, how is she supposed to know where you guys are?
He's like, how, exactly.
Yeah.
She still has a choice to make. How could she do it if she can't find you? And also, like, and then I think also this is where you could bring up is just like, you guys never include me.
You guys
like,
never include me.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have I been here? 5 times?
Yeah.
And then the gods Ares and Aphrodite stand up to Xena and they're like, your friends are dead unless you choose now.
Yeah.
Who do you choose?
One or the other.
Love or war? Whose banner will you carry across the battlefield now?
Yeah.
And then Xena starts off on a speech that sounds like, "Ooh, there can be no war without love, and there can be no love without war." And we're like,
"Okay." It's
a
lot of gobbledygook.
Yeah.
But it sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good. And then Ares gets angry in the middle of the speech. Oh wait, first
in the meantime,
Joxer
Gabrielle's
and Gabrielle are doing the thing.
He's like, that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Like you remember, and
he burns the ropes.
Yep.
Puts a statue there so that Ares can destroy it and Aphrodite can get mad. Ares cuts Xena off without looking, throws a fireball or whatever. I guess he has fireball powers. Who cares? He's a god. Yeah. He has fireball powers, and he throws a fireball, destroying a lot of Aphrodite's stuff. They're not there, but it doesn't matter to Aphrodite because that's her stuff. They get into a little squabble that sounds like children. Hades sits back, just enjoying
pleased with his good work.
Just enjoying this. And then Xena walks out, catches up with Gabrielle and Joxer, and Xena...
I don't play the games of God.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I have no time for the riddles of gods. Or just garbage, and then just and then like right off into that.
she does a front flip onto her horse, and then they ride off, and Gabrielle and Joxer are left in her dust.
Yeah, I just got lightheaded. Oh, that was fantastic.
The fact that she can do a front flip that gets enough height to land comfortably on a horse. And then it just takes off at full speed, leaving Gabrielle and Joxer in her dust, and they're like, "Oh, okay, all right." And then
that's it.
That's the end.
Xena,
we did it.
That's fantastic.
Xena Warrior Princess.
Flute music.
Wow,
man.
Woo.
You know what? I thought it was gonna be trickier at the beginning, but we really got there.
Yeah, once we figured out we needed a third party.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Then we took the other story from the Bible. So basically, we took the beginning of one story and the end of one story,
and just
and went like,
together.
All right, there we go. We have one unique story, right?
Yeah. Hey,
just mush them together for Xena.
That's how it works.
Hey, yeah. What's old is new again. Okay, we did it. We wrote a Xena. Thank you guys for listening. Woo!
Yes.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Thanks so much for listening. I hope that was insightful and fun for you. Please take the time to leave a review, subscribe, follow us on social media. The links are in the description. And catch us next month when we take on Reba. Hey! Yeah, we're doing Reba. It's going to be real different from this one. Oh, and before you go, I've got another awesome podcast to recommend to you guys. It's called Secret Levels. And, well, I'll let them tell you all about it.
I'm Player 1 Toby.
And I am Player 2 Goose.
And we are the Secret Levels Podcast.
We are a very short, fast, and funny podcast about the classic video games that you love and some newer ones. We slam through them one episode at a time. We try to keep it within the 30-minute limit and keep you that fast and funny, which we only deliver, folks.
And we're going to touch on games from all different types of systems, from Nintendo to Sega to PlayStation.
We're doing from 1942 to Zelda, because we're not counting numbers. Everything's a part of the alphabet here on this show.
So check out our show on all the major podcasting platforms and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Secret Levels Pod.
Do that or get a game over, folks.
Now, doesn't that sound awesome? Go check them out, Secret Levels Podcast. And thanks again for being here. I'll see you guys next month when me and some friends get together and say, hey, let's write an episode of Reba. Have a good day.